We're taking a break though. Yeah. I gotta take a little break on the weed. Clear my mind, me and Fee used to hit tickle me for lunchtime. Every time I see my fans, I just hail them up one time. One hand on the steering wheel, other one on your thigh. I ain't in it for the lights, I'm just living my real life. They say time flies, I just watch the time go by. And every second treat it like my last, though. Why? Cause you never know when it's your time. You never know when it's your time. You never know when it's your time. That's why I stay on my grind, disciplining the weight. If we're talking from the very, very beginning, I have to say my older brother. So I got like a half brother. We got the same father. So I used to go over to his mum's house, like, you know, every weekend or so. And I remember he just had this small studio set up, and him and his friends would come over. Back then it was grime, so they'll just be freestyling and stuff. And I didn't really get involved, I'll just be taking it in, but I used to be like, yeah, I want to do this, man, this seems lit. And I remember one time my brother just being like, jump in the booth. Like, he gave me some of his bars. I didn't even have my own bars at this stage. And I just kind of, you know, said his bars, but I had the voice. I felt like, yo, I could do this. And then I started writing. And I just remember one day he was like, yo, I do a freestyle or something, man. Just put something out there on YouTube. Like, back then there wasn't no social media, so it's not like you can go on your Instagram or your Twitter and, you know, be posting a clip of your freestyle. So you kind of just had to give anything you had and put it on the internet. And I remember we started dropping these freestyles now, me and my boys, just like constantly just building and building, dropping these freestyles. And I'm starting to see like a little fan base come. I think these times Facebook started to get bigger. I think Instagram was about, but I didn't use it. But yeah, I'm starting to just more a fan base within my local community, if that makes sense. Not on the internet, just people coming up to you like, yo, I'm seeing your video on the internet and it's hard. And so this is starting to motivate me now, motivate me. I'm thinking, yo, what can I do? So I think, boom, let's drop a mixtape. That's when I dropped my first ever mixtape, Noughts and Crosses 1. You know, back then, no Spotify, no streaming. I think there was iTunes, you could buy a mixtape, but you couldn't stream it. So I'm out there selling my hard copies, literally selling hard copies, because that's all I knew from watching, you know, the old school American videos and just people out there on the grind. So I'm out there selling these hard copies. I think Snapchat was kind of about then, so I had my little Snapchat following. Instagram was growing. Things are starting to grow social media wise now. So I'm out there, I'm selling these hard copies. So yeah, we're selling these hard copies. I remember this tape rang off. Like, for me, people was loving this tape. So I'm feeling like, yo, we're onto something now. You know, I got my older brother pushing me, I got my friends pushing me. They're like, keep going. So I remember I started to see other artists now from my area, and they're starting to get show bookings. And I'm thinking, yo, like, this is crazy, like, you know. And these times, it's not even about the money, it was just about being on stage and performing a song to people. Like, this is happening in the UK, you know what I mean? Rap as well, not grime, rap. So I kept grinding. I remember I got my first ever show. It was like for £250. I mean, my boys just flew down there. I remember it was in like East London. I was so shy, you know what I mean? I thought I wouldn't be, but when you get to that backstage and it's like, I was young. Looking back now, I was just young. And yeah, man, it's like, I was just thinking, yo, I'm hearing all these people outside. Yeah, this is about to be mad, but it was a very good show. And that kind of, for me, that was my first ever time where I was like, yo, like, I have fans. This is in East London now. Before, like I said, it was more of a local community thing. I'm from Thornton Heath, South London, so it was just like, yo, this is my area knowing me. Now I'm getting a show booking in East London and they're singing my lyrics. Like, this is crazy. Let's see what's from there.
That's the end of question 1. And then question 2 is, when did you start to realise it was getting serious? And then the next clip of the other sold out show. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So when did you start to realise it was getting serious?
Okay, so for me, I knew that I was onto something. I knew I had people that was liking the music and I had a fan base, and now it's about building a fan base. I think for me, when I knew it was serious is when I put on my first show, because I started to get show bookings where I'd take little £250, £500 and go and do shows But when I put on my first show and had to sell my tickets, and that sold out, like that went crazy. The reception in that room was nuts. For me, when I came out, just seeing so many people just singing the songs with their lights out. But for me, you know, it's different when you get booked for a show and there's a few other artists on the bill, and you know, a couple of your fans are in the building. But when you're putting on your own event and seeing everybody come there for you, it's a whole different feeling. So to see the reaction from that, I think that's when I realized it was getting serious. I felt like after that, the motivation was like 10 times more than it was. So I felt like after then it was, yo, drop tapes, Noughts and Crosses 2 I dropped, Noughts and Crosses 3, Noughts and Crosses 4, just hits after hits after hits. I remember I had one song on Noughts and Crosses 4 that kind of got me like my first global exposure, if you want to say it, Wizkid and Ty Dolla $ign. I remember waking up, crazy enough, it was like on my birthday, I woke up and I checked my Twitter, seen my mentions going off, like, thinking, what's this, man? I'm seeing Wizkid and Ty Dolla $ign have remixed your song, and I'm thinking, this can't be true, you know what I mean? So I'm scrolling, and I see the video, thinking, rah, this is crazy, you know? Wizkid hit me, Ty Dolla $ign hit me, they were showing me love. Then I ended up flying out to LA to actually go link Ty Dolla $ign and just kind of vibe with him. And these times I'm like 17, never really flown, left the country like that. So to go LA was kind of like a bit crazy at first, if I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit shocking. But yeah, I feel like that for me really was my first ever experience where I was like, yo, I can change my life off of this, you know what I mean? Not just like, yo, we're building, we're onto something like, yo, I'm seeing different countries, I'm seeing Hollywood off of this music, it's getting a bit crazy. And I think that's when the whole kind of like American thing kind of came about, and now I started tapping in with people over there. And I remember I came back now, and I'm just in my bag now, you know what I mean? I've got my fan base, I know what I'm working with. I'm starting to put on more shows now. I put on my second show that sold out. I brought out Stormzy. That was crazy. The reception in the room, just off of them times where it's just like, they've seen the come up, they've seen the work that's been put in to where I've come to. And I'm not even saying that I've made it, because I still got a long way to go, but just to see where I've come, the reception in that second headline show was even more than the first. And then I went to doing the third headline show, I brought out Nines. That was kind of after, that was my first tour, if I'm being honest. Like, we did 2 headline shows, then it's like time to do a tour. That's when I went to Manchester, Birmingham, and it's broadening now. And then I just thought, you know what? Like, to be honest, it's not even I thought. I always had in my head, I want to work with a Metro Boomin or a Zaytoven. Personally, these were the 2 producers I always wanted to work with, because I just know my sound. And I know, like, with this sound, they're the GOATs. And then this, crazy enough, I think Zaytoven's like publishing company ended up just hitting me up like, yo, Zay, he wants to do an EP with you, he's feeling your sound. And cut a long story short, I did an EP with Zaytoven called Level Up. I had a Young Nudie feature on there, and that was kind of like the opening the doors for the Atlanta. I had to go to Atlanta, had to link up with Zay, and through me going to Atlanta to meet Zaytoven, that same studio where I recorded the EP, is how I ended up meeting Dirk and building that relationship. Because that's how America is. It's like, yo, you can be in these spaces with certain people, and if you're clean-hearted, if you're the right person, you're gonna make them move. So I feel like that's how all them things came about. And now we're kind of here where we are today, and the come-up's just been crazy, man. The come-up's just been mental, and there's way more to go. Let's get it.
Tell him I'm more, I'm fly like Jesus. 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 I'ma drink more, get more in my feelings.